Wow, what a story. Today's story is about sexual harassment. Now, the first one talks about Anita Hill very briefly, and she is the woman who was a secretary for working for uh, Thomas, the Judge Thomas, and she was sexually harassed by him in the 80s. Then we're going to go on to another story where a little black girl was being harassed in her school by a boy. The boy would not stop. He turned into the Tasmanian devil, they say. And then the mother did something about it. The father did not want to do anything about it and said, let it go. But she didn't want to let it go because she wanted her daughter to be treated fairly in school so she could go and get her education and not be felt up by some Euro pervert. So,
after a brief discussion of work, he would turn the conversation to a discussion of sexual matters. His conversations were very vivid.
Anita Hill's testimony shattered the myth that harassment isn't a part of a lot of women's lives, whether or not it looked exactly like Anita Hill's. For some women, it probably allowed them to connect elements of their own experience to and call it harassment, not just call it some things that happened or some things I wish I could forget or a set of sort of isolating memories that only happened, to me. It also mobilized people to identify issues of harassment in new ways.
Turning now to a story of sexual harassment and schools. If your child was sexually harassed at school by another student, should you have the right to sue the school? Well, a mother from Georgia thinks so, and she alleges that her fifth-grade daughter was repeatedly harassed and the school did little to stop it.
These letters and clippings of my news article of the lawsuit on Title IX, and well-wishers send me out letters. Kind of like a time kill. When you want to look back when everything over with, you want to sit back, a cup of hot tea or good old glass of cold lemonade and say, damn, look what I did for myself. Wonderful. And then, when you get older in life, my gray hair starts shining in, and you sign of knowledge and wisdom. And this is my knowledge, and this is my wisdom, and this is my gray. And I got married young, and we had LaShonda, 1982. To me, she a doll, very pretty. After she got older, she played baseball, very smart. She loved making A's, A+ if she could. She wanted to be a doctor or either a lawyer. And I think most of a doctor at that particular time. And she just enjoyed life. Right before Christmas break, LaShonda was 10 years old. She came home and she said, Mama, got something to tell you. I said, like what? She said, this little boy at school. I said, what you mean? Say, you know, he rubbed me, tried to. She said, I said, tell me. She said, I said, no, tell me. And she tried, she, like rubbing against. She said, no, he did more, tried to do more than that. And I'm like, so did you tell the teacher? She said, yes. I said, what did the teacher say? She was going to tell the principal. And I said, okay. So later on that night, I always follow up. I called the teacher, and she said, yes, she did tell her that. The little boy tried to grab her in the hallway, rub against her. Not just her, some other girls too. But mostly, his attention mostly was on her. But they said since LaShonda was the one complaining, the most, I guess it wasn't enough. It was pushed under the rug, so to speak. After the school year had started to be safe, at least you hoping they'll be safe there. You never think they'll come home and say the little boy that's sitting on side of her, trying to look on her dress or skirt, or trying to grope her breast, or rub against her vagina. It just, And I'm thinking, where did he learn this from at 10? After he started doing that, it's like her mental demeanor began to change. Tired. She started having nightmare, and then she wasn't even aware of it. She was running, trying to get away from it. My husband and I went to the school and asked the principal for the little boy to be suspended for 7 days. No, they didn't want to do that. Why, I don't know. I guess because they feel like boys would be boys. But my daughter wasn't going to be made the example of it. The last little incident that happened, LaShonda came home and she asked me, did her dad and I still have a lawyer? And I said, yeah. She said, I think what he done to me is wrong, and for them to stand back and let it happen, I just want to hurt them. We need to sue them. And lots of time my husband used to tell me, he said, just let it go. And I had to make a decision whether I do what my husband want me to, I try to make a better woman out of my daughter by setting an example through me and not the school. So I went to the library and did some research.
I love that this mom took action. She got up to see how she can put a lawsuit. Is there anything such as suing a school for sexual harassment or for harassment in general? Because at the time, women were getting sexually harassed for the sports team, and they had to use that same law. Now, you heard this. Someone's little demon seed was allowed to harass this little black girl, and this person was the same. He was her, and was allowed to harass her, and she didn't get to. She had good grades at first. Her grades were falling because of this Tasmanian devil, they called him, and he would do things to her sexually, and they would wonder, how did he know that at his age? Of course, things haven't changed, because back when I was in school, the boys would be that way too. Now, this story went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the court and her mother won this lawsuit. It was completely unacceptable that this boy was allowed to harass her. The teachers, the principals, they did nothing. And this lawsuit was about to take all the schools under. But she won her case. And I love it. It doesn't seem like the girl is with us anymore. See, and the fact that they let this boy harass her probably has something to do with that. I mean, they say that when a woman is trafficked or lives a life of a prostitute or is forced into a life where she has to have sex with somebody, or she has to go through the harassment every day on a daily basis, their lives are shortened. Because a woman's not supposed to be in that situation, but she is cornered in those situations as far as men is on the earth, right? So this boy should have, I think that they should have did something to stop him. At least contact his parents, at least do something about it. But I guess they probably just thought, oh, that's their culture, right? It's not their culture. She has a right to go to school without being touched and harassed by a little devil.